Let's talk about 3 sleeper tight ends with solid upside. First up, Irv Smith Jr. Unfortunately for Smith Jr., injuries have really affected his career up until now. But when he's been on the field, he's been really solid. Even last year, before he went down with an ankle injury, he was the tight end 12 from weeks 2 through 6. And I think him going to Cincinnati gives him a great chance to resurrect his career and get back on track. He signed a 1-year prove-it deal, and he's going into an offense that averaged 25.7 points per game, good for 7th best. Joe Burrow had the 5th most passing attempts of any quarterback last year, so I think Smith Jr. should have plenty of opportunity to produce. The tight end for the Bengals last year was Hayden Hurst, who very quietly had a solid season before going down with an injury of his own. From weeks 1 through 9, he was a tight end 8, and he averaged a little bit more than 5 targets per game. I could see Smith getting a very similar workload. He may even get more involvement in the red zone than Hurst did. The fact that Smith is only 25 and is out to prove to other teams that he's worthy of another long-term contract makes me excited for his prospects this year. He's not being drafted right now, so you should be able to grab him off the waivers. Next up, rookie Sam Laporta. I'm really excited for Laporta. I think Laporta's going to hit the ground running. He's out of Iowa, who just knows how to produce tight ends. I mean, we're talking about George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson, and Noah Fant. And I think Laporta is going to be right up there with those guys. He's going into an offense that knows how to score points. The Lions average 26.6 points per game, good for the 5th most in the league. And Jared Goff also had the 6th most pass attempts of all quarterbacks with 587. And I think that formula is going to remain, especially with Ben Johnson still calling the plays. Ben Johnson is a hot commodity and will more than likely be a head coach next year. But I think as long as he's with the Lions, they're going to have a high-octane offense. I think Jared Goff doesn't get enough credit either. From week 7 onward last year, he had an 18-1 touchdown to interception ratio. And I think he's going to build off of that success. I think Laporta also has the prospect of a great receiving tight end. He had back-to-back seasons at Iowa with 50 receptions and over 650 yards. So it wouldn't surprise me if he gets involved very heavily. Let's not forget that Jameson Williams is suspended for the first 6 games. So the Lions are going to be looking for someone to pick up the slack. Topping our list, Gerald Everett. Gerald Everett has quietly been very productive no matter where he's gone. He finished as the tight end 13 last year. And I think some of that was propped up by the fact that both Mike Williams and Keenan Allen missed time. But I think even when they were back in the lineup, Herbert was looking his way. Herbert also had the 2nd most pass attempts in the league last year, and I expect the Chargers to pass the ball just as much. From weeks 1 through 7, Everett was the tight end 7, and there was more than one occasion where he showed his athleticism. We saw him take little dump-off screens and just run down the sidelines for big gains. I think he's definitely going to be heavily involved. And I think with the Chargers being pass first for the foreseeable future, he should definitely have a large role. I know they drafted Quentin Johnson and still have Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, but I think Everett's role is pretty safe. He definitely got a ton of looks in the red zone too. I think he was 5th amongst all tight ends with 16 red zone targets. That really excites me for his prospects as well. I think at the very least, I think he should be able to establish a safe weekly floor. He should get somewhere around 4 to 5 targets a game, but with his targets being really high value targets, it makes me feel safe and confident about drafting him in the later rounds. If you can get him in the 14th round, I think that's a great value. Those are 3 sleeper tight ends I think have solid upside. Please subscribe and let me know which tight ends you think are flying under the radar in the comments below.